Hi, I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my Theory Tuition series where we're working together step by step through each of the ABRSM theory grades. There are lots and lots of resources available to help you on my website. If you go to sharonbill.com, you'll find some free PDF information sheets and you can download those in US letter or A4 and they accompany each step of this series to help you. You'll find a page there with links to all of my YouTube video tutorials and you can find out about the books that I have available. I've written an exam technique guide, how to take your ABRSM Music Theory Exam. It's full of tips and techniques on how to best prepare for your exam and also how to make the best use of your time on exam day when you're actually sitting in the room working through your exam paper. So if you go to sharonbill.com, you'll find it's all there. If you can give me a like, that would be fab, and please do subscribe and share my channel. And now we're going to continue with the Grade 3 2018 practice paper, and we're going to start now with question 3. So if you turn with me to page 4, we can have a look at this together. I always suggest that you have a go of this on your own first. Doesn't matter if you're wrong. Just work in pencil and then you can just rub it out and have another go and you'll learn much more thoroughly that way. It's always better to learn by your mistakes. So I'm hoping you've had a go of this and I will work through this question together. So we're asked to add the correct rests. Now the important part there is the fact that you might need more than one in each of these places in these two melodies to make each bar complete. So notice it's two separate melodies, two separate time signatures. It's not just a continuation. So here we have 9/8, which is 9 quaver beats, 9/8 notes. However, we need to bear in mind that this is compound time and we need to reflect that that is 3 groups of 3, and so our rests must show each new beat. So we need to show where each new beat falls. So it's not just enough to fill in the maths, we need to show where each new beat begins. So here we have 1, 2, 3, there's our first group of 3, 1 1/2, 2, 3 quaver beats there, there's our second group of 3, and so our third group, which is in the middle here, is just literally 1, 2, 3 there, dotted crotchet or dotted quarter note rest. So that was a nice easy one. Now let's see what happens here. We have, this breaks down into 2 groups of 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quaver beats, 6/8 notes. We have a 7th here, so we have 2 quaver beats, 2/8 notes left to complete here. Now it's not enough to say that we just stick a crotchet beat. Although that mathematically that's correct, what you would need to do is show that with 2 quaver beat rests or 2/8 note rests. Now this is a little bit of a strange one to consider because it's okay to have crotchet beat rest, quarter note rest, quaver, that's okay. However, it's not okay the other way round to have quaver followed by crotchet rest or quarter note rest, and the only way that I can think why that would be so that makes sense to me, I'm not entirely sure this is the absolute fact, but we need to show this dotted crotchet group, and you can see there's the crotchet or the quarter note and that's kind of the dot, whereas this way it's the other way around and it doesn't quite work that way. You wouldn't have dot crotchet, would you? That doesn't make sense. So here you would have to show the quaver rests there like that. So that's what we'd need to do. So to get full marks you need the 2 quaver beats, 2/8 note rests. Righty ho, so let's press on. So again we can see here we've got our 6 quaver beats, our 2 groups of 3, and then here we have 1 quaver beat, 2 quaver beats, we have here a semi-quaver, so to finish that we need another semi-quaver or 16th note to give us our 3rd quaver or 8th note beat. So there we go, that's that bar completed, and now we move on to a new time signature. So this time we are counting 3 quarter notes, 3 crotchets per bar. We need to show each crotchet beat, each quarter note beat. We're in simple time now in groups of 2, and we need to show where each new beat falls. So we can see we have 1 beat here, we have 1 beat here, and then here we have a quarter of a beat. So if we just look at what we've got here, there's a full beat, we have a quarter of a beat, we've got 3/4 of a beat left. Now we don't put a dotted quaver rest. That's sort of heading into compound time territory. What we need to do is finish this quarter of a beat here with a semiquaver or 16th note rest. So that's now completed, and now we can show the quaver rest, the 8th note rest, to complete that bar. There we go. Now here we have 1 beat. There should be 3 beats, 3 crotchet beats, 3/4 notes, which means we have 2 beats left to fill. Now it wouldn't be correct to just fill that space with a minim or a 1/2 note rest. Remember, we need to reflect each new beat, so we need to show beat 1, beat 2, beat 3. So you've always got to show where each new beat falls. Each new beat requires a new rest. There we go then. So let's press on to the next question. Now we need to name the key of each of these following scales, and if it's a minor scale we need to say whether it's harmonic or melodic. Now here I always find it helpful to have my circle of fifths, so all of my keys are ready. There's a few more on here than needed. This is the whole lot, so you need to only go up to I think it's 4 sharps or flats at present, but that's my circle of fifths. And if you're not sure how to do that, I do recommend that you have a look at my video explaining the circle of fifths. You'll find the link to that in the cards and also in the descriptions, and if you just write it out once and for all, then you can keep referring back to that without having to keep dragging that information to mind. So just quickly jot that down before you start a paper, and then you can just refer to it, and all your hard thinking is done in one go. So first of all, of course, whatever key it is, regardless of whether it's major or minor, it must begin on the keynote or the tonic. We're in the treble clef here, and so this begins on an E, ends on an E, so it must be E something. So that's a good starting point. Now let's see what we've got here. We've got an F sharp, a G sharp, a C sharp and a D sharp. We have F, C, G, D sharps. That's all 4 sharps of the major key signature present and correct. So it's a straightforward major key. Let's look at this next one. So now we're in the bass clef. We're beginning and ending on F. So that must be F something. Now we know that F major would only have B flats, and that's not the case. There's obviously much more going on here, and so it's going to be F minor. So we need to figure out now which form it is. Now F minor is related to A flat major, and as I said before, if you've written that on your circle of fifths, you would already know what's going on there. And so we know that F minor is related to A flat major, which is B flats, E flats, A flats and D flats. And so we have here, let's see what we have here. We have an E flat, a D flat, don't forget we're in the bass clef, we have a B flat and an A flat. We have the whole key signature of the relative major key present and correct. There are no raised 7ths, no raised 6ths and 7ths. It's the descending form of the melodic minor scale, which comes down in the key signature of the relative key. So that's a melodic minor. Let's look at this next one. So we're in the bass clef here. We're beginning and ending on A. It's A something. Let's see what we have here. We have a C sharp, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G sharp. If you find it difficult reading a certain clef, if that's not the instrument that you're used to working with, just count up. A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. So A major has a key signature of 3 sharps, F, C, G. All of those are present and correct. So we know that's a straightforward A major scale there. Let's have a look at this next one. So we're in the treble clef, we're beginning and ending on C, so it's C something. We know for sure it's not C major because C major would have no sharps or flats, and so now we know that it's some form of the minor scale. So C minor is related to E flat major, and so that would have a key signature of B flats, E flats and A flats. So let's see what we've got here. We've got an A flat and we have an E flat. We have no B flat though, and so that has become a B natural. That the absence of a flat shows us that this has been raised. They don't need to put a natural sign in. The absence of the flat does the job for us, and that's the 7th degree of the scale, counting backwards, 8, 7, 6, so that's the 7th, and we know it's the harmonic minor form that has the 7th degree of the scale raised, ascending and descending, and so we now know because of that lack of a B flat, that's the raised 7th, and so that's C harmonic minor. So by a process of elimination, we've just followed each step through, and that's pretty easy to figure out. Let's press on. Now we've got a few things to do here. There's quite a lot of tasks involved. We need to add the correct clef. We need to add any necessary accidentals also to these tonic triads. Do not use key signature. So we've got a bit of extra work actually. When it's a key signature, it's much easier. So now we need to decide which parts of the key signature we need to apply to the notes. So a first job, D major of course must begin on D as the tonic. So we have the 1st, 3rd and the 5th. So we need this to be D, F sharp, A. We'll worry about the sharp in a moment. So for that to be D at the bottom, this must be bass clef. If you find it hard to count, you can count backwards. We know this is a G, F, E, D, or we can think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's our D an octave higher, just to confirm that. So we're in the bass clef. Now D major has a key signature of F sharps and C sharps, and again if you've already done your circle of fifths, all that thinking's been done. You don't have to keep on scratching your head and thinking about it, so just refer to your list. Now we don't add the key signature, so we have to see what we need to apply here. We have an F here, so we need to sharpen that F in the middle. Although there's a C sharp in the key signature, there's no note C here to sharpen, and so we don't need to apply that. So now you've got the gist of how to follow it through. Let's work through these others. If you haven't done so already, have a go yourself. But now we'll continue with these together. So for a start, this needs to have the low note, the tonic of C sharp, and for that to be the case, that has to be bass clef, that would be middle C. If you put a treble clef there, that would be a top A. Every good boy says football always. So that won't do. That's your middle C in the bass clef. And now let's think about what C sharp minor key signature would be. It's related to E major, so it's got a key signature of F, C, G, D sharps. Now here, if this is the 1st, the 3rd and the 5th, the 1st is C sharp of course, but we'll just count up C, E, G. So the C needs to be sharpened, the G needs to be sharpened, the other sharps don't apply. There we go. Let's move on to this next one. So for this to be the tonic at the bottom of the tonic triad, for this to be a G, it has to be treble clef, because the lines are every good boy deserves football, F, and then G is next door. So that would be treble clef. If you put a bass clef there, that would be the B below middle C, so that wouldn't be correct. Now G minor has a key signature of B flats and E flats. Here we have the tonic triad G, B, D, so we need that B to be flattened. There's no E, so there's no need to put that anywhere, just the middle note is flattened to make that a B flat. Let's press on. So here for this to be E flat major, this needs to be the bass clef, all cows eat grass, so that's the bass clef. Now E flat major has a key signature of B flats, E flats and A flats. And so here, the first, the third and the fifth, we have an E, a G and a B. So that needs to be E flat, and the B also needs to be flattened. So the two outside notes need a flat. The G is not affected. And finally, this last one, for this to be a low note F or F sharp, this needs to be in the treble clef. Every good boy deserves football. So this needs to be in the treble clef. Now F sharp minor is related to A major, which has the key signature of F sharps, C sharps and G sharps. Here in the tonic triad we have an F, an A and a C, so we know the F sharp must be added, and of course it must begin on an F sharp, so that's an extra pointer. And then the C sharp also needs to have the accidental. There is no A sharp in the key signature, so the A is not affected. So these two outside notes need to be sharpened. And that's the end of that question. We'll look at the next questions in the next video. I do hope this is helpful to you. I hope it's helping you with your studies. These past papers are an excellent revision resource. I really recommend them in preparation for your exam. If it's helpful to you, if you can give me a like, that would be really super. And please do subscribe to my channel to keep updated, and please do share out these videos. Please also do visit sharonbill.com and make use of all of the resource and information that's available there to help you. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.